أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم. تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين.
We praise God and we bear witness that there is no God except the one God. And we declare that all devotion and all worship is directed to God alone. Surah 39, Ala lillahi ad-din al-khalis. Devotion and worship belong to God alone. Some of you probably saw this bombshell where there is announcement that I have been commissioned a messenger of God. And this is probably the most difficult announcement that I have ever come up with. But it's something that I have known since 1980. And you can see that I was coward. I was afraid to come up with it. I dreaded the time when I may have to announce it. Because there is a general tendency to resent anybody saying, I'm going to use a wrong statement now, but this is what resentment is for. Generally, people resent somebody saying, I'm better than you, or what appears to be saying, I am better than you. And even the Quran condemns such a statement. In Surah 4, God says, not those who exalt themselves. God is the one who exalts whomever He wills without the least injustice. The resentment in this case results from two things: ignorance and idol worship. Now, ignorance because the Quran teaches us that a messenger of God is not necessarily better than anyone else in the congregation. In Surah 18, from verses 60 to verse 82, we see that God picked out one of the biggest messengers, Moses, one that God said, I made you for myself. وَاصْطَنَعْتُكَ لِنَفْسِي, I made you for me. And in another place, God said, لِتُصْنَعْ عَلَى عَيْنِي, I had you made before my eyes. And we see in those verses that God sent Moses to one of our servants, whom we bestowed, who gave mercy and knowledge. And Moses proved to be a lousy student. So this teaches us that a messenger of God is not necessarily better than anyone else in the congregation. I can think of quite a few of you whom I consider better than me. I see people when I was their age, I used to go to the saint and ask for help. I was an idol worshipper when I was that age. Yet here they are, a lot younger. They have a 20-year head start compared to me, and so this is the first thing. Ignorance causes this resentment. Idol worship, because the people idolized the messenger of God and they made him next to God. They made him a God besides God. So when you mention the word messenger of God, they are all, But the truth is, a messenger of God is, the Quran repeats, a human being like you, or in colloquial local terms, a flopster like the rest of us, whom we can kid around and who can be silly. What is more, the Quran teaches that a messenger of God, if a person is picked out as a messenger of God, a commissioned messenger of God, there are kinds of messengers, does not even guarantee heaven. And we see this in Surah 39, verse 65, where it says, it has been revealed to you and to those before you that if you ever fall in idolatry, all your work will be nullified and you will be among the losers. So, a messenger of God does not even guarantee heaven. And this is why we see in Surah 21, verse 28, that the messengers are worried about their own neck. We are all familiar with these verses. But the people who have either ignorance or idolatry in them, they resent an announcement like this. If a person is picked as a messenger of God, it's a difficult job. It's a very difficult job. There is no material gain out of it. I certainly will not allow a single penny to enter my personal pocket because of this or because of religious reasons. I'm not a professional religionist, and I will not allow a penny to enter my pocket from religious activities, because then the motive changes. And the Quran repeats, stay with those who do not ask you for wages. The Quran says in Surah 49, the Quran gives us the criterion of who is better than whom. And it says in Arabic, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ, the best among you is the most righteous. It didn't say the best among you is the messenger of God, or the richest, or the tallest, or the most knowledgeable. The best among you is the most righteous. So all these things will teach us that messenger of God is no big deal. It is just a vehicle that God uses to communicate with us. A center of information. And with it goes a difficult job, a very difficult job. The abuse, the slandering, the threats. And God says, I believe it's in 42:51. Yes, in Surah 42, verse 51, God says that No human being can communicate with God except through three ways: inspiration, or from behind a barrier, or through a messenger, through whom God spreads certain information. So people will know that this is reliable information, that this is from God. We are people who follow the Quran, the whole Quran, and nothing but the Quran. Therefore, anybody, and this means anybody, who brings any information must conform to the Quran. The whole Quran, nothing but the Quran. And if anyone, and we underline anyone, comes up with any information that is not confirmed by the Quran, we tell him, forget it. We don't accept it. So, the criterion is preaching, confirming existing scripture, the Quran, and nothing else. No innovations. Now we come to the question, is it possible that we receive a messenger from God? If you ask an average Mohammedan, they will tell you Muhammad was the last messenger. But they have no basis for saying this. And the Quran gives us a precedent. Since Joseph, the prophet Joseph, when he died, the Quran teaches us that the people said, okay, that was the last messenger. We'll never see another messenger after that. So this is a human tendency. And the Muhammadans claim that Muhammad was the last messenger. He's not. In Surah 33 verse 40, God says Muhammad was not the father of any of your men. He was a messenger of God and the final prophet. So here we see a distinction between prophet and messenger. A prophet is one who delivers a scripture, like Jesus, Moses, Muhammad. They are prophets. And we see this clearly in Surah 3 verse 81, where God says that He made a covenant with the prophets that He will give them the scripture and wisdom. So here we have the definition of a prophet. Then God made a covenant with us, with you and me, with every human being. Said then, when a messenger comes to you, confirming existing scripture. So there's the definition of a messenger. When a messenger comes to you, confirming existing scripture, you shall believe in him and support him. And God said, do you make a pledge with me? And we all said, yes, we do. And God said, you have thus borne witness, and I bear witness along with you. Therefore, it is possible that there will be messengers after Muhammad. In Surah 7, verse 35, it says, O children of Adam, when messengers come to you, reciting my revelations to you, those of you who believe are the successful ones. This is Surah 7, verse 35. Obviously, it is for people after the Quran. As a matter of fact, the verse begins by saying, O children of Adam. So as long as there are children of Adam on this earth, this verse is valid. If messengers are coming after Muhammad, what do they look like? What will a messenger look like after Muhammad? Just think of any human being. What are his characters? Do you think he'll be walking on water, or walking in the air, or coming with 3 angels on each side, or something? He's just one of us, just a human being. Some people came. I want to answer the question why. Why send a messenger? Why does God send a messenger? Why not just go in the same way that people have been going? They've been reading the Quran, following the Quran. Well, one important element is the test. Because of this covenant that we made with God. What are we going to do if a messenger of God comes and says, worship God alone and forget about the human beings, Muhammad, Jesus, Moses, or anybody? You must devote yourself totally to God alone. One who will preach the Quran, God's proven scriptures. What are we going to do? Are we going to scoff at him? Are we going to help him morally? Are we going to rally around him? What are we going to do? A test. Another test is the test of ego. If the Quran repeats, they said, oh, he just wants to be better than we are. He wants to be a leader. And this is emphasized throughout the Quran. You're going to find some verses in here. And there's, in Surah 17, verse 94, it says, what prevented many people from believing was that they said, human God sent a human being to be a messenger? And in Surah 64, verses 5 and 6, I'm going to read them for you. Did you not receive the news of those who disbelieved in the past? They suffered the consequences of their decision and deserved painful retribution. Why? This is because their messengers went to them with clear revelations, but they said, quote, human beings to guide us? Thus they disbelieved and turned away. God does not need them. So, it's a tremendous test to accept somebody who says he's a messenger of God. There's an ego here. We're required to kill the ego. And this applies to all of us. One of the requirements in the Quran. The egotistic person will resent anything like this and will be deprived. And God says in the Quran, I will divert from my revelations those who are arrogant. سأصرف عن آياتي الذين يتكبرون في الأرض. I will send them away. God will actively send them away. So this is something that we have to kill, the ego. So many people came and said they were messengers of God. Baha'u'llah was one of them. And Ghulam Ahmad of Pakistan said he was a messenger of God. And Joseph Smith, the Mormon leader, said he was a messenger of God. But God made it mandatory that a messenger comes with proof, certain signs. Moses brought all kinds of proofs. Salih brought proofs. Jesus came with signs that he is authorized and sent by God. And on that difficult day, a few days ago, when I'm going to give you all the details, I'm not going to be mysterious and say I was told this and that and leave it hanging. I'm going to give you, everything's going to be wide open in front of you, and I will tell you exactly what happened in time, if the time doesn't help us now. But this reminds me of the fellow, you've heard this, I told some of you at least this before, but this fellow was the most curious person in town. And he would just ask questions, he'd always ask questions. And one time he was sitting in the bar, or the pub, or whatever the place is, and there comes in this man with one leg, and he sits next to him. And this very curious person, of course, is curious, how did you lose your leg? He wants to know. And the man with one leg knows that he is the most curious person in town. He just died to know, how did this fellow lose his leg? So he told, the man with the one leg told him, the curious fellow, he told the curious fellow, I will tell you on one condition. And he said, anything, just tell me, anything, just tell me what to do and I will do it, just tell me anything. He said, you ask only one question and you don't ask any questions after that. He said, okay, I do it, just tell me, how did you lose your leg? He said, it was bitten. So I'm sure that curious guy died on the spot because he couldn't ask any more questions. So I'm not going to be mysterious with you. I'm going to tell you everything gradually. But on that difficult day, when I realized that I must announce, and I chickened out for 8 years now. I needed some signs, and I was shown I had some signs, but I was shown a couple of additional signs on that day. Now I will share with you some of the signs that will assure all of us. Now the first sign, of course, is the mathematical miracle of the Quran, which is very simple. And people should have seen it in the last 1400 years. Literally thousands of scholars looked in the Quran and counted all its words, its letters, its vowels, those signs, little signs. They counted everything in the Quran. But they never came up with the mathematical composition of the Quran. Bismillah, 19 letters. The number of surahs, 19 times 6. The first revelation, 19 words. The last revelation, 19 words. All these are simple things that they should have discovered. But God reserved this for a person called Rashad, as we see in the index of the Quran, page 320, which was printed 1 year before I was born. That index, it's a comprehensive index. And on page 320, you'll see that the root word Rashada is mentioned 19 times. And this is something that came to us from Turkey. I didn't discover it. It was discovered and sent to us, as most of you know. Now, the additional things. Now, I want to give you a piece of new information that shows you the awesome miracle of the Quran that was reserved until this time. The word God, Allah, in the Quran is mentioned 2,698 times. When you take every verse in the Quran where you see the word Allah, every verse, from verse 1 of Surah 1, and you add the numbers of verses, the total is 118,123. 118,123. These are the numbers of verses wherever you see the word God in here. It's awesome. Because not a single verse was transplanted from its place. Not a single verse was changed. And not a single word Allah was dropped out or added in the Quran. So this is an awesome miracle that was reserved for. God knew in advance who is going to be fortunate enough or blessed with releasing this information. Now, if you add all the verses in the surahs of the 19 Rashida, and the last name also is involved. This is very embarrassing to me, but I have to tell you this and share it with you. But Khalifa is mentioned in the Quran twice. When you add all the surahs and verses, the total is 1,369, which is 19 times 77. You add all the surahs and verses where Rashada and Khalifa are mentioned. Well, I was not content with that. I'm greedy. I wanted specific Rashad Khalifa. Specific Rashad Khalifa. And sure enough, if you look up, the Rashad mentioned twice. Rashad. This is the way my name is written down. It is mentioned in the Quran twice, in Surah 40, verse 29 and verse 38. The Khalifa, they're twice in the Quran. One of them is a bad one and the other is a good one. Okay. The bad Khalifa is Satan, which is in Surah 2. And the human Khalifa, which is specifically mentioned in the Quran in reference to David, the prophet, one of our favorite prophets, the Psalms. And this Khalifa is mentioned in Surah 38, verse 26. So if you add the surah and verses connected with Rashad and the human Khalifa, the total is 171, 19 times 9. So in other words, you look at every angle and you can see that the signs are connected with the mathematical code. Now, I will explain to you in detail at another time when we have time, but this is the religion of Ibrahim. As we see in the last verse of Surah 22. Millat abikum Ibrahim. This is the religion of your father Abraham. He is the one who named you Muslims before. Muhammad brought the Quran. And yours truly was blessed with bringing the proof. I I was blessed with the proof of the Quran and the secrets of the Quran. When you add Ibrahim, Muhammad, and Rashad, the geometrical values of the three names, this is all detailed here. The total is 855, which is 19 times 45. And 45 happens to be my age, 1980, when I was told for the first time. And again, I will accept, I promise you, I will explain to you how. But 45, in 1980, which is also 1400, exactly 14 centuries after Muhammad, who was told in the Quran that he will have 7 pairs. 14 centuries, among other meanings of the 7 pairs. So it is a very tight evidence, and it suits the age of a computer age. Now the secrets of the Quran, I mention this because it explains to you the revolutionary ideas that I used to come up with once in a while, or the crazy ideas, if you want to call them that, like the end of the world. It is very clear in the Quran, but it was not shown before. It's a secret in the Quran. God knew when the end of the world will be, and He put it in His final message. And we are the generation that was destined to know, to get this secret out of the Quran. Unlike the idea that drove a lot of people crazy, that anybody who dies before the age of 40 goes to heaven. How can they go to heaven when they're 35 and they're awful bad? Put them in hell. You know? We are mean. Human beings are mean. There was so much opposition to that idea. It's not even funny. And it is not coincidental that Latifa hands Carolyn hands Otis a button, this button here. Today was it? Did she give it to you today? Yesterday? Yesterday? And he comes to me 5 minutes before before the khutbah to give me this button, which says everything up to the age of 40 is just rehearsal. Now, I thought she made the button, but she didn't. Where did you get it?
I don't know. I was in the shop, but I don't know what shop I was in.
Oh, but you picked it up in the shop. You were shopping and you saw that.
Yeah, and I saw it and I just said, oh,
okay, so it's not coincidence. You know, God spreads His information in many different ways and means. Other secrets of the Quran that we've been enjoying in the last 10 years. Oh, the zakat. Now this is new. And I'm going to tell you about it now. And you will have to do it. As of now, immediately. The zakat. The zakat is being done wrong all over the Muslim world. Now here is the true zakat from the Quran. In Surah 6 verse 141? Yes, it is 6:141. You're going to remember this verse because it says when you harvest the crop, give the zakat on the day of harvest. You remember that? On the day of harvest. Okay, well, we are not farmers. We don't harvest wheat and barley or anything. But we harvest paychecks every 2 weeks or so. That's our harvest. The day you receive your harvest, the day you receive your paycheck, you take out 2.5% and you give it to people that you know who are in need. It makes so much sense. I mean, how come we didn't think of this, all the time? It makes so much sense, and it is from the Quran, and it will correct the method of zakat that is dominant in the Muslim world. Because the people that we know who need help, they need it now. They are hungry now. They can't wait for a year, like they told us in the past. You get $10, you take out 25 cents. 2.5%. Is it 25 cents? Yeah. Now, if it is impractical to give 25 cents to somebody you know, you can keep it and accumulate it for a couple of weeks or a month until it is a reasonable amount. Then you give it that month. Don't go beyond a month. You give it to somebody you know personally, according to the system of the Quran, your parents first, your relatives next, the orphans, and the people who need it, in that order. Any money, any net income that you get, you take 2.5%, and because God says, chances are this 2.5% that you have in your check are illegitimate, illicit. Get rid of it. It is called purifying your money. You spend most of your time sleeping on the job or something. Yet you get the check, you know. So God says this is the way you purify your income. You take it out immediately. Also, who's going to keep track of one year? So God has His ways. This is one of the secrets of the Quran. We'll reap these benefits. Among the secrets of Quran that we've enjoyed in the last 10 years are the correct method of the Salat prayer. Okay, we're running out of time, so tubu ila Allah, repent. Alhamdulillah, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. We devote our worship and our devotion to God alone, no human beings. There's a surah in Quran that says when God's victory comes and support, and you see the people entering God's religion, God's true religion, in throngs, in great numbers. And this is what is happening now. This surah is 19 words, consists of 19 words, and the first verse is 19 letters. This is our surah. And so far, this bombshell, the reaction has been positive. People have been calling me from everywhere in the world saying, I'm calling to say, I believe. And when that difficult day came, and I was a coward, and I was saying, this thing here may cause my own children to disown me. They may say, you're a crazy man, get out of here. And as I will tell you in detail, I cried, I felt prostrate, I was fired. And I cried, I felt prostrate, and I begged. And when in my heart I became solid, and I said, I will do it at any cost. Even if I lose my own children, my own friends, I will do it. Then I was restored, as I will give the details I give you. But the reason I'm mentioning this surah, the victory, is that there is unanimous positive reaction to it from everybody. People here who read it, and I was very careful talking to Beth as we were at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I told her, guess what, Beth? I have to do this and this and this, and I was very careful and diplomatic, and then she's casually drinking her tea, and she says, I knew that all along, Dad. I'll support her all the way.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين.
But that night, in April, I opened the Quran as usual, and there is the place where I usually read, the top right, and it said, you're going to hell. So I closed it again, and I said, this is Satan telling me, trying to frighten me, giving me bad time. So I said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and please God, protect me from Satan, I seek refuge in you, and I said it in many different ways. And then I opened it again at random, as usual, and it said, you're fired, you will not do the job, you're a chicken, you're not suitable, and you're going to hell. So I sought refuge in God again from Satan, from the devils, in stronger terms, and for a longer time I made sujood. Then I opened the Quran again at random and said, you're fired, you're going to hell, you're doomed, you're not going to do it, you'll find somebody else to do the job. So I closed it again. It is now defying statistics or coincidence. So I turned to God very hard and I said, please God, let me know if this is coincidence or why is it getting these bad ideas. So I opened and I kept doing this and repeatedly every time I opened it says, you're fired, you're no good, you're going to hell, you're doomed. And it was getting worse. And until I reached the conviction, a real conviction in my heart that I'm doomed, I'm going to hell. Then I started to cry. And I started to repent. And I opened it, and as if the Quran had nothing in it except you're fired, you're going to hell, you're not going to do the work, we'll substitute somebody in your place. So I said, this Quran is rigged. Maybe it's because I'm using it a lot. So I got this one, which was brand new, and I opened it. It said, you're fired, you're going to hell, you cannot do the job, you're a chicken, we'll substitute somebody in your place. So I closed it again, and I opened another place. The Quran had nothing in it except I got the English Quran. I opened it. I looked in the usual spot, said, you're fired, you cannot do the job, you're going to hell. So it is no longer coincidence. I got this book, this big Quran here, and I opened it this way. I mean, I did all kinds of crazy things to let the Quran open at random and go like this. And then I opened the Quran and looked in it, and it just said, you're going to hell, you're doomed, you cannot do the job, you're fired. So with this, I got a letter opener, and I stacked the Qurans like this, and I close my eyes and point the letter opener, and then insert it in one of these pages and open it, and it'll tell me the same thing. There was nothing in the Quran that morning except you're fired, you cannot do the job, get out of here, you're doomed, I don't need you anymore, I'll substitute somebody else in your place. So I cried and I made sujood and I repented, I sought refuge from Satan, and it kept giving me the same message. So I became convinced that God is speaking to me through the Quran. And I became convinced that I'm no good, that I'm fired, that I'm going to hell. And I cried as hard as I never did in my life. I really became convinced that I'm finished and I'm doomed. And there is no salvation inside. My sujood became longer, my crying was harder. There was nobody in the mosque. And then one time I opened the Quran and it said, "We forgive you." Well, I reached the conviction with all this crying that now the message is very clear that I'm not coming out with an announcement that I am God's messenger. I have known it since 1980. And I ignore messages that say, the verse in Quran say, "Oh people, I'm God's messenger to all of you." And I ignored those. They were very loud and very clear. And I ignored them. Obviously, the timing was not right then. I mean, now in retrospect, I was supposed to have ignored those messages. They got loud and repeated, and louder and clearer, and I kept ignoring them until this happened. So there is something that led to this. I mean, I opened the Quran, says, "Say, oh people, I'm God's message to all of you." And I became convinced that this is no longer the case. Then, with these repetitions, I reached a decision in my repentance. I said, "Please God, accept my repentance, take me back. Even if I lose my own children, my friends, if I lose everybody, I will do anything. I will go out and I will make the announcement." And I really had that conviction, because I said, chances are my children will tell me, "Get out of here, you crazy man. What are you talking about?" So it became my neck. And that verse in Quran where it says the person disowns his own parents, his own children, the children disown their parents, and so on, became a reality for me. Here I am doomed, going to hell. And the whole thing is hinging on courage. God doesn't want a coward to work for him. It became very obvious. So when I really reached that conviction that I will do it at any expense, I got this message that said, "You're forgiven, you accept your repentance." And my crying of sadness became crying of joy. And I still didn't believe that remark. Maybe it's a fluke. So I did the same thing. And there was nothing in the Quran except to accept your repentance, you're forgiven, and go now and do the job. God is forgiving, merciful. And I did it in the same way. I mean, this defied all statistic and all coincidence. The background to this, well, at least I am not, people who around me know that I'm not making any bones about it. I'm not being humble about it. And I cannot take any chances. And I believe if it happens again, I will be really fired. And I'll be sent to hell. And I'm not going to do it. So that's why I've been bold. And it really has nothing to do with humbleness or modesty. If we understand a few basic things in the Quran, one thing is that a messenger is no big deal, that it is a big deal only if we idolize the messengers. We build the picture in our mind. And this is the typical response with all the believers. The people who were averse from the beginning, they just continue to be averse, or maybe a little bit worse. Except their harsh attacks had a little bit of reverence in them. As if in the background saying, "What if he is?" I get these telephone calls on the machine, and in the past they used to call me bad names and all that, but now they say they're kind of, they read Quran, and they read the verses that says, "Fear God," and then they add from them, "Come back to Islam," this kind of thing. But you can sense the kind of respect and reverence in the back of your mind. This is the difference that happened with the opponents. And it's because of their reverence for Rasulullah, or this word, they made it so big and put it next to God. And that's why it's a big deal for them. But if we understand the Quran, we'll find out it is not a big deal. Because the Quran teaches us that a messenger is not necessarily better than anyone in the world, in this generation, or anyone around him. We have this lesson in Surah 18 where Moses, one of the big messengers of God, met someone who's described as one of God's servants, one of our servants, God says. And this one of God's servants began teaching Moses a few lessons, and Moses turned out to be a lousy student. So this is teaching us that the messenger, the biggest ones, are not any better than anyone around them. Not necessarily better than people around them. The Quran teaches that say I'm a human being like you, and this is told to the Prophet Muhammad, for example. The Quran teaches that the criterion for closeness to God is righteousness. Not being a messenger, or not being the most knowledgeable, or the richest, or the tallest, or anything else. Righteousness, nothing else. So, and anyone can be more righteous than the messenger or anybody else. There is also a verse in Surah 39 that says that being a messenger of God does not even guarantee heaven. It is no guarantee. It says, I'm quoting the Quran now, it says, it has been revealed to you and to those before you that if you ever fall in idol worship, in idolatry, all your work will be nullified and you will be a loser. So, if people understand this, they will not make a big deal out being a messenger of God. I called the Atif and I told him about this, and logically, he started to discuss the wisdom of making an announcement like this, and why is it necessary. And I found myself, him and I, talking as if I sat down and decided to make an announcement. Then it dawned on me, it's not really my decision. It was not my decision at all. Obviously, God wants this announcement to be made for reasons that only God knows. And we can speculate on. The first verse in Surah 67 says, God created death and life to test us, to test the people. Because before that there was no death. Before the human race came here, there was no death. That's why God said He created death. Mentioned death before life. The whole purpose is a test. And it turns out, we know now that the road to God is full of traps on the side for people to fall off, to drop out. And when you hear somebody say, I'm a messenger of God, some people drop out. And it's part of the sifting process. There are so many traps along the road. And the matter is decided really from the very beginning. A person who has doubts, who's not a sincere believer, will fall off at one of these traps along the road. The firm believer will keep going no matter what happens. Because what we're saying is, worship God alone. We are saying, destroy all idols. And we are fanatically against building idols. This reminds me of, I don't know if it's a good taste joke. There's nothing bad about it in the language, but the Muhammadans insist on putting Muhammad's name next to God and say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. In the adhan, they say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So, I'm tempted to ask them, how do you like, if you follow your method, we're saying, say La ilaha illallah, that's it. There's no God except the one God. La ilaha illallah. Just like the Quran says. In verse 18 of Surah 3, God says, Shahid Allah, God bears witness, Annahu la ilaha illahu, that there is no God except who. In other words, God's Shahada is La ilaha illallah. And then the verse goes on and says, Wal malaikatu, also the angels, wa ulul ilm, and those who possess knowledge. This is their Shahada, La ilaha illallah. So it's very clear in the Quran that the Shahada is La ilaha illallah. They insist, because of idolatry, to add Muhammad's name, which violates a good number of commandments in the Quran. When you put Muhammad's name next to God in the so-called Shahada, their Shahada, they are violating a good number of commandments. So the temptation is, I want to tell the whole doctor to say, La ilaha illallah Rashad Rasulullah. If you follow your method, now that they built up this opposition to me and the Muhammadans, and to the point that I'm under this sentence in a good number of countries now. Saudi Arabia is one of them, Iran is another one. So now that they hate me so much, how would they like to say La ilaha illallah Rashad Rasulullah if I give them enough proof and so on? Maybe this will induce them to just say La ilaha illallah. So we are saying La ilaha illallah. We are very strongly, staunchly against building any idols. And I don't know how to convince them that I don't want any glory or money or fame. And for 8 years I was a coward. I mean, what does this announcement bring to me? Except I thought trouble, but it did not actually. The reaction has been positive so far. But I would rather go and worship God alone by myself somewhere very quietly and just eke out a living out of this world and go into the eternal life. This is what I'd rather do, personally. And this is what I wanted to do for 8 years. This is why I was fired on that night. So I'm sorry I forgot quite a few points that I want to tell you about.
You were going to say about the background of that? You were going to say about the background of that?
Yeah, the background of this is that I have known since 1980 that I'm God's messenger in the sense that, not in the general sense, in the sense that Abraham was the original messenger of Islam. He brought all the practices, the namaz, the fasting, the zakat, charity, the pilgrimage, and of course the first commandment, La ilaha illallah. And Muhammad wrote the Quran, and that I am the third of a triangle, that I brought the proof of authenticity of the religion. The first publication, we just found out this yesterday, the first time the Miracle of Quran was published was in January 1973. 1973, I was 38 years old, and I didn't know anything except that I found this mathematical miracle in the Quran. And the January 73 publication in the most popular magazine in the Middle East, after Sa'ad, had to do with the proportion of the initials. Qaf, for example, the letter Q in chapter 50, that chapter had the highest proportion of the letter Q. Surah Sad had the highest proportion of the letter Sad. Surah Noon had the highest proportion of Surah Noon, Alif Lam Mim, and so on. Every surah had the highest proportion of its initials, except Surah Yasin had the least, the exact opposite. And that was the whole article. And it did have the computer printouts of the whole Quran, which I had written in the computer. And then in 1973, in November, which is exactly my 38th birthday, was the first report on the number 19. That was back in 73. And but I didn't know that I am God's messenger in that sense until 1980. 1980 was corresponding to the year 1400, the Islamic year. And it seems like a new era began at that time, 1400. If you look here, in Surah 47, Surah 47, verse 38. 38 was very prominent. In fact, we were looking at this magazine yesterday. We became curious. We were looking at it, and on the other page, they had reports in the magazine 38 years ago. We had a big number, 38. 47, the last verse, which is 38. I wrote in bold letters that if you turn away God will substitute other people in your place, and they will not be like you. Okay, this is one of the verses, by the way, about substituting somebody in your place. But anyway, I wrote this in bold, in big letters, and they put a footnote saying here at the end of the footnote says Islam is being re-established in the English-speaking world after being restored to its pristine purity. So I wrote here back in 1980, 1400, that God had forsaken the Arabs. The Arabs meaning in the Arabian Peninsula. There is a certain geographical area where the Arabs are, defines who the Arabs are. And now it's been 8 years and we don't have a single Arab. Of the 100 million Arabs in the world, we don't have a single Arab who could see and appreciate the miracle of Quran, even though it's very clear.
You mean state or an Arab?
An Arab from the Arabian Peninsula, not from North Africa and not from Egypt. Sometimes they call me and say, "You're an Arab, aren't you?" I say, "No, thank God, I'm Egyptian." But it's quite a phenomenon that we don't have a single Arab. Last Friday we had like 60 people in the mosque. Not a single Arab. We had the conference in San Francisco, a couple hundred people, not a single Arab except those who came to arrest us. So there's something happened in 1980 after 7 pairs of centuries. In Surah 15, Surah 15 verse 87, God is telling Muhammad, I'm giving you 7 pairs. Among the other meanings, I'm convinced that it means 7 pairs of centuries. Because of what I've seen and the fact that this verse is at the end of Surah entitled Muhammad. So the background is that I have known since 1980 and I have been evading the responsibility of, and I say, well, let's just go along and worship God and spread the message. And what we've been doing was, God has been gracious to us in that He's been showing us what the correct Islam is. The Mohammedans throughout the world, the 100 million of them, are doing the Salat wrong. We mentioned Muhammad, Ali Muhammad, Ibrahim, Ali Ibrahim in the Salat. We know now for sure that this is wrong. The Quran came out of Muhammad's mouth. Says that you should never mention any other name during the Salah, besides other than the name of God. That the Salah must be devoted to God alone and no one else. So they did the Salat wrong. They did the zakat wrong. They are doing it wrong. And now we have it corrected. If you look in Surah 6, verse 141, it tells you, when you harvest the fruit of the crops, give the charity, the zakat charity of that crop on the day of harvest. Now, the zakat as being practiced now in the Muhammadan world is once a year on your savings above a certain amount. But the Quran says, give the zakat on the day of harvest. Now, since we are not farmers, we don't harvest fruits or crops or anything like that, we harvest paychecks. So when we get the paycheck, we're supposed to take out what came to us from Ibrahim in very clear words, Rub and Ushr, quarter of 10, 1/4 of 1/10. This comes to 2.5%. So you take 2.5% of your net income when you get it, the day you get it. So I would say it makes sense that we wait like a month to know what our monthly, since we get our paychecks, so it's monthly income is a very common thing. And you, at the end of the month, you figure out how much was your net income, 2.5%, and you give it to people you personally know are in need. You know them personally, and you know that they need the assistance. And we are given a specific order in the Quran as to who we give the money to. You give it first to your parents. If they don't need it, you give it to relatives. cousins and uncles and aunts and so on. People you know personally who are related to you and they need the money or the help. After that, the orphans. You find children who lost one or both parents for some reason, divorce or abandonment or death, and you give them this money. And the fourth category is any poor persons, and the last category are the traveling aliens. People who sneak into this country from Mexico, they have no jobs, they're hungry, so you help them. We have a specific order in the Quran. This is the correct zakat. So what we did was we cleaned out the salat, we returned it to its pristine purity. We corrected the zakat, we corrected the fasting. Even the fasting was wrong.
Yeah. What's wrong? What's wrong with the fasting?
What surah?
What's wrong with the fasting?
What was wrong with it?
I want to know what happened.
When they sleep all day and stay up all night, and they use fasting as an excuse to be nasty, you know that. They call names and then say, I'm fasting. So excuse me, I'm fasting. And the timing of the moon is always wrong. I think they're fasting today still in Egypt, and even though tonight you can see the moon. Even, I don't have to go out, but the computer tells you what time the moon is born, what time it rises, what time it sets. And whether the clouds or not, whether inside or not, whether you're sighted or blind, you can know exactly what the moon is doing. So, but they follow the hadith that says you fast when you see it and you break your fast when you don't see it. And if you cannot see it, you complete the month of Ramadan 30 days. So we fasted 29 days this month.
Is it 29 days all the time?
No, it's sometimes 29, sometimes 30. The Hajj was wrong, and we already wrote in the Muslim perspective to correct it. The Hajj is wrong by going to Medina. It turns out that as it is now done, going to Medina is the most important part of Hajj, even though it is not part of Hajj at all in the Quran. Going to Medina is flagrant idol worship. They go to the Prophet's tomb or to Fatima's tomb and they pray and implore nothing. I'm quoting the Quran because on the day of judgment say we were worshipping nothing. So this is what we've been doing, and I was happy that way. So we were spreading the message. It has gone all over the world, literally. This translation and the small book, the brown book, Quran, Hadith, and Islam, and the message of returning Islam to its pristine purity as far as all the practices are concerned, reached places I never heard of. Little islands in the Indian Ocean. There is an island called Union Island in English, but it's in French. L'Union. Ihsan lived in Mauritius. That's another country I never heard of, Mauritius. And we have people there in Mauritius. Is L'Union close? Are they close to Mauritius? Must be. Went to New Zealand, Australia, went everywhere, and I was happy that way. The message is being spread all over the world, exactly what needs to be done. So why the announcement? That was my justification. And that's why each one of you asked me, why the announcement? Why is it necessary? So my opinion was the same as yours. But then I was...
For me, I think it is necessary.
Pardon?
For me, it is necessary because all the people that have been knowing that we have been worshipping only God say, oh, now Rashad Khalifa is a messenger of God. I said, do you have anything against his message?
Right. What do they have?
Okay, do you have anything against the message he's giving? For me, that's what.
Obviously, God has a reason. I mean, the Quran says, you don't ask God why. We ask, he said, God is not to be asked about anything he does, but we are to be asked about anything we do. لا يسأل عما يفعل وهم يسألون. So obviously God has a purpose and very good reasons. Now, the Quran says that Muhammad is not the last messenger. And this could be one of the very important reasons. So if Muhammad is not the last messenger, the statement in the Quran in 33:40 says, "ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم." Muhammad was not the father of any of your men. ولكن رسول الله, a messenger of God, وخاتم النبيين, and the final prophet. This expression, Rasulullah, ولكن Rasulullah, is not necessary at all for the meaning. If the prophets include the messengers or vice versa, you can have a perfect sentence saying, ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن خاتم النبيين. Muhammad was not the father of any of your men, but he was the final prophet. But of course, every letter in the Quran is deliberate, as we know now very well. It says, وَلَكِنْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, a messenger of God, وَخَاتَمِ النَّبِيِّينَ, and the final prophet. So, there is a verse 35 in Surah 7. It says, O children of Adam, when messengers come to you, narrating my revelations to you, those of you who believe and live a righteous life are the successful ones. Obviously, this is a verse for people after Muhammad because it's in the Quran. And like Dr. Mansour said, for as long as there are children of Adam on earth, this verse is valid. Because it says, O children of Adam. In Arabic, يا بني آدم إما يأتينكم رسل مني يقصون عليكم آياتي فمن آمن وأصلح فأولئك هم المفلحون. 35, Surah 7. So, what is this verse directed to? Not the people before Muhammad, because they never seen the Quran. It's for the people who read the Quran. The Quran gives us also another example of the human tendency or aversion to the idea of having a messenger of God. It seems to be a test of ego. A test of ego, you know. This guy is going to sit here and say, I'm a messenger of God, so he's going to steal the show and he's going to get all the attention. And it may be one of the tests, you know, for dropping out. This is something I don't want to contribute to that, but it's not up to me. So the Quran illustrates this by using Joseph. It says Joseph. This is I believe it's verse 34 in Surah 40. Surah 40. It says, Joseph has come to you with clear revelations, but you doubted his message. Then when he died, you said he was the last messenger. Now look, who God picks out? Joseph. Now who came after Joseph? The big ones. What the big ones? David, Solomon, Jesus, Moses, Muhammad. All this came after Joseph, even though the people said he's the last messenger. Nobody else would come after that. So they have been saying the same thing about Muhammad. So Muhammad is the last messenger. The world population today is 1,000 times what it was at the time of Muhammad. And you've seen how much advancement the human being achieved. This is an enlightened generation of humans who are very advanced, computers and sciences and technology and videotapes. And it makes sense that God wants to send the messages to this generation. And I can't make any bones about it. I can't. I'm a chicken the other way around now. I was a chicken being afraid to announce, and now I'm a chicken to hold back. Because I'm afraid if I'm fired again, there'll be no restoration. So, this verse about Joseph tells us it's a human tendency. And now the question, to turn the table around, the question is why are they averse to this idea? So if Muhammad was not the last messenger, and somebody is going to come after Muhammad, messengers after Muhammad, what do they look like? What are their qualifications? What will they say? So, if someone comes along and says, worship God alone, uphold the word of God alone, not the word of men. Clean out all the practices of worship. Destroy all idols. Remove all innovations. What's wrong with that? I mean, it makes sense that God's messenger will do that, will say that. Why will I oppose or object to someone who says that? Yeah.
I say to my friend, I just picture Dr. Rashad Khalifa sitting with Prophet Muhammad and discussing and telling what he's doing. I think that is his message.
I think we'll get along just fine with any one of us. This is really the same message from Adam until now. It's one and the same message. So I along with you would ask that question, and I put it in perspective. They should tell us why shouldn't I be a message of God? I've given them enough proof. There's a lot of evidence in there. And it is mathematical, it is physical, tangible. So I want them to come up with evidence that is opposing that I should not be. But there's one thing that came out. The first thing that came out, I think, in some Muslim student organization in Oklahoma, and they issued a new magazine. The first issue, I think, it was just for that. And the article in it said that my name is not Rashad Khalifa. He said. I've heard everything now.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين قالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم قالوا طائركم معكم أن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم. تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. قالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين. إني أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوها فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر. أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا ومن الليل فتهجد به نافلة لك عسى أن يبعثك ربك مقاما محمودا وقل رب أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعل لي من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا وقل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل وقل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين ولا يزيد الظالمين إلا خسارا وإذا أنعمنا على الإنسان أعرض ونأى بجانبه وإذا مسه الشر كان يئوسا قل كل يعمل على شاكلته فربكم أعلم بمن هو أهدى السبيل. صدق الله العلي العظيم حق ذو الفضل العظيم.